I'm sure we all recall the commencement of the war in Ukraine, where Europe all of a sudden started turning on their coal-powered plants. It tells us that energy security is as important as energy transition. And so in our transition efforts, our focus is on gradual integration that ensures stability, whereas our friends' rapid phasing out of current technologies may create gaps in the energy supply and reliability. We don't think that that is the best way to go. We have outlined a plan to achieve universal access by 2028. That's a typo, forgive me, it's 2028, with specific investments in expanding rural electrification. Our friends also aim to achieve universal access by 2028. They mentioned Light Up Ghana. We have set a more ambitious target. Again, forgive me, the text in the manifesto itself says 2028. So that's an error for universal access, which is crucial for rapid economic development in rural areas. Already we're introducing off-grid solutions to ensure that we achieve that target that we set with a clear timelines and financial backing. Again, on the petroleum sector, we are focusing on expanding the role of indigenous companies in upstream oil and gas and increasing local content participation to maximize benefits from Ghana's oil resources. Our friends propose rebuilding investor confidence in oil and gas sector. I don't know where investor confidence went. I've seen in their manifesto they make reference to the ENI Springfield case as basis to say that investor confidence has waned. But I don't think so at all. Our emphasis really is on increasing local content, which aligns with the long-term national interest by ensuring that local expertise and businesses benefit from our oil resources. Our approach is more sustainable for building national capacity compared to our friends, which focus on investor attraction, which may not directly benefit local stakeholders. Again, on efficiency and accountability, we aim to improve this through reforms such as our digitalization with the digitalized implementation of a cash waterfall mechanism and better accounting practices at ECG. Obviously, when the private sector participation in the billing, metering and collection is done, that will help us in improving efficiency. Our friends also plan to enforce the cash waterfall mechanism, but places more emphasis on ring-fencing funds like ESLA for its intended purpose to improve accountability. I'm not so sure whether anything untoward has been done with ESLA. The MPP has demonstrated experience with the cash waterfall mechanism, and we offer specific reforms that have already been tested, whereas our friend's proposal involves significant financial restructuring, which may take time to implement and delay the benefits that we can get as a country. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Of course, the detailed texts are in our commitments to you and then also our manifesto itself. Thank you.
A big round of applause once again for Mr. Andrews Ejapa Mensah, who is the Tourism Minister and former Deputy Minister for Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly acknowledge the presence of some very distinguished personalities here in our midst this morning. The AOMC Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Riverson Opon, is here with us. Please put your hands together for him. We've got the Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, also here with us. And then, of course, the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa. So pretty shortly, we're going to be doing the Q&A session. Mr. Ejapa Mensah did make mention of a number of interesting policies that the government will be rolling out. And of course, I also know, based on what I've seen so far, that A lot of you will be talking or asking questions about taxation within the petroleum industry, issues about energy transition, from fossil fuel to renewable energy. All these are major issues of interest to industry players. And of course, the cylinder circulation model and its implementation. I do recall when I interviewed Mr. Gabriel Kumi, it was so heated in the studio that day. And of course, the NPA also wanted to respond to that. So I'm sure the minister will deal with all these and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, let me invite one of the most important, in fact, the most important person here in our midst today, the running mate of the NPP flag bearer. But before that, let me also acknowledge his spokesperson. He didn't want me to, but I have to. Let's acknowledge him also, Mr. Fifi Boafo. Thank you very much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. So he's going to do a brief remark. When he's done with that, I will sit down with him. Oh, he wants to sit also. Okay, he started sitting already. So let me give it to him.
Thank you. I do acknowledge that we're invited here by CBOD. So I do understand that most of the questions might come in that area. We are very well prepared. And I do also say that we have MPA here, which largely deals with CBOD as the regulator, to take up the questions, because the meeting was supposed to start at 10. Some of us were slightly before time, but it took such a long time, and our day is already gone before we even started. So if you see me absent, I think I have even better people here to take up the questions. And then we hope that we can hold periodically before elections so that we could sort some of these policy incongruence out before. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Mr. Minister. No, you're not more Minister.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, thank you very much, running mate to the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. So he's going to be with us for some. So he's going to be with us for some time, and then he will walk out because he's got other pressing engagements to attend to this morning. I would like to start off with the engagement, and then I would invite other key stakeholders to join us in this discussion. Thank you, Mr. Opoku Prempeh, for your time. And it's exciting.
Mr. Prempeh.
Mr. Prempeh.
Yes.
Mr. Prempeh, thank you very much for your time.
Napo is fine.
Okay, Napo. Thank you very much, Napo, for your time. Let's start off with the Gold for Oil program, which has been a major topical discussion on the lips of most people. To start off, has the Gold for Oil program achieved its objective of stabilizing the Ghana cedi? And what do you consider to be its major setbacks?
Thank you. I don't think I recall, or it's not been the case that we said the Gold for Oil is going to stabilize the city. I don't know. That was not the purpose.
Well, I do recall the Vice President, said that back in the Gold for Oil program, the economy would have been worsened in terms of its depreciation, against major trading currencies.
Yes, but that is the two statements are not the same. What the Gold for Oil, the purpose for the Gold for Oil program was to, one, ensure security of supply, and two, to ensure that the price increasing daily will be minimized as much as possible. And three, the reason, but the dollar was already, the central bank had already informed Ghanaians that by the end of 2022, if it continues the way it is going to continue, the dollar is going to be used to pay for our foreign imports the way it was going. We would have a $0 reserve by the end of December. Knowing that petroleum imports constitute a recurrent, sizable consumption of our dollar, if the dollar was not there, imagine what would have happened at the end of 2022. Healthy supply of dollar to meet their import requirements. And so if it's still there today, and I know it's there today, that if something had not been achieved or done by 2022, probably the country would have collapsed.
So what would you say are the significant contributions of the Gold for Oil program?
I started by saying the intention or the intendment and what it has achieved was to, one, ensure that we could pay for our petroleum imports without overburdening the central bank, which is the provider of forex for Ghana. And two, to ensure security of supply at the same time. And three, to reduce the level of rise of the price of fuel at the pump. Because the price of the fuel at the pump reflects a lot of things. One is foreign exchange and the cost of acquisition of foreign exchange. At the time, the importer needs the foreign exchange to pay for the foreign exchange. The cost of the fuel is one, and it's a sizable one. So as a policy, first March, and he needs to pay for that fuel, and it costs, let's say, $100 per a ton, and he needs to pay $100 million to his creditor at the end of, say, June, give and take 3 months LC. The importer's first focus is the price he's selling till he has to pay. Right? He's not going to sell all the fuel, or the liquid fuel, 1st of March. He's brought it in, but the cost of that fuel starts ticking from 1st of March when he has received it. He's been giving, say, 60 days or 90 days to pay. But at the end of the period, a grace period, I would say, for him to pay, he has to pay for the 100 million plus costs of acquiring that 100 million. So the petroleum price, the export price, or the filling station price that will be displayed, should be an amount of money that he would recover both his import cost, his profit margin, and servicing of that credit. Simple.
My final follow-up before I open the doors to the general public, the opposition, and I talk about the opacity of it, that it is not open, we don't know how much this gold has been bought for, where they are getting it from. Do you don't think that there's more the public should know about this?
I'm not sure. Vocalizing the opposition misguided statement helps us. Nobody in the ministry or CBOD or the energy sector buys gold in this country. The only entities financing and things. So I need $110 million at the end of April. Bank of Ghana necessarily must make $110 million for you to pay. Right? So how Bank of Ghana does it really has never been the concern of CBOD. What CBOD
Dr.
needs,
Patrick, is that true?
let me finish. What CBOD needs is that the $100 million or $110 million they need is paid. CBOD has never gone to any bank or Bank of Ghana to ask that question since we started in early 2003 or 2005. How do the banks get the money? It's not an issue for CBOD. It is not an issue for any operator. The operator's issue is that I need dollars at this time, and it must be made available. So the behind how the operator is getting the dollar has never been an issue for CBOD. And it should not be an issue. And it is, you go to the Bank of Ghana, you need $100 million, and it's given to you. I'm not sure anybody here will question, how did you get the $100 million for me? Because before we started the Gold for Oil, it's CBOD that approached the ministry that they are having a difficulty with getting dollar from their banks. And these are commercial banks that were servicing CBOD. And through working with them, we approached Bank of Ghana to open an auction line, foreign auction line, dollar auction line, so that some of their members would participate and get dollar directly from Bank of Ghana or through their banks, through supply. So I can say without equivocating that CBOD's job has been, and rightly so, to find dollar for their members who have imported products.
All right, thank you. Just to remind you that this program is streaming live on our Facebook page. That's CBOD Ghana. You're welcome to follow us on that page, CBOD Ghana. You're also welcome to register with us on this program. I'd like to give the floor to any of you here who would like to say a thing or two. Do we have the microphones being passed around? Great, we've got two microphones, one to my left, the other to my right. Just put up your hand and then I will acknowledge you. Kindly mention your name and let's know which organization you're representing this morning. Thank you. Yeah, there's a hand up there. Duncan says he's going to start attacking the minister.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable
Thank you.
Napo.
Thank you.
I'm James Makion from UPSA, and I would like to ask a very simple question. But first of all, thank you very much, you and your administration. I mean, our very honorable Dr. Baumia doing a very great job together with our old man, Nana Dankakofad. All right. So my question is about our energy security, and what are the imported fuel? That's my question for you this morning.
Okay, let me first break down the question. The issue is energy security. As far as the average Ghanaian is concerned, he wants to wake up, switch on the light and it should be on, go to the fuel station and want petrol and have it. The second then point is that at what cost does he can afford to bear those two services? But the first one is the reliability or security of supply. And the second one is the cost for that commodity. Two issues. To deal with the first one, if you listen to the presentation, there's a reliability supply. Well, first I'll deal with the petroleum side because that is why CBOD is the one who has invited us. But we can talk about the power side as well. CBOD has been for a very long time, since the middle of the 2000s, the importer of our petroleum products into the country. And it must be recognized. It was under President Kufuor that introduced CBOD, or private sector participation, into petroleum supply. Before that time, petroleum supply had gone through different phases of importers. Either TOR, as a nation's refiner, where they could supply 100%, or GMPC, as the nation's explorer, but doubled in every other thing. Right? So government directly was not bringing it. It was always bringing it through a quasi-government agency or something else. And then, as the economy grew, TOR could not refine enough to meet our local demands, let alone export. So there was a need to bring in private sector participants to come and import. So there were three entities. TOR will put as much as it refines onto the market. BOST would also put their petroleum. They used to buy petrol. There was a levy called BOST levy that BOST would use to buy petroleum product and store. And after every 3 months or 6 weeks or something, they have to decant. They have to sell it to bring in new product. So when you mark up the two, the rest of the supply that was not available is when the private sector was supposed to bring in. Even at that time, it was limited to about probably 2 or 3 companies, right? And they were bringing in only the gap that the market could not supply. So it was TOR, it was BOST, and it was the private sector. This thing moved to a time where the TOR could not do much, and BOST itself, government came and decided that this BOST levy and BOST bringing is so inefficient because of debt accumulation for these two entities. Why don't we let the private sector bring in it more? So it moved from the private sector who brings it to have its own storage, which was how the program started. So a few private sector companies that were supposed to do import would have to have the storage of the product they were bringing in. To let's allow the huge storage capacity that existed in Tor and Bost be used for storage on behalf of the private sector, so that we don't have, Ghana doesn't become a tank farm, really. So even now, we have more storage for liquid petroleum products than probably some of even the big countries in the world. We store, we build the capacity. So if you look at the projections. So now we want to even convert our storage into a re-export terminals. So that is how the strategy and the policy has changed over the period. To now, we have more bulk oil importers than Nigeria or, for that matter, Egypt, when you consider that Nigeria doesn't refine one drop of its barrel of oil in Nigeria. It has, we are not here to discuss Dangote and his problems. We are here to talk about Ghana and security of supply. So we've moved in all terms. Different governments have tried to tweak the policy as started by ECOFOR to ensure that there's always petroleum storage available in the country. To the time when, a few years before I became the minister, one of our biggest product imports into the country had gone and even received cabinet approval to change Bost to become a storage terminal for that company. And it was CBOD that fought against it because it would have led to the death of a lot of Ghanaian companies, Ghanaian-owned companies. So government had to shelve it. So we have moved all in a bit to tweak the policy, to tweak the regulations, to favor reliability of supply. So when CBOD approached us, that their own members were failing on their own agreements because of the dollar situation, because the importers, the big IOCs were not supplying, because it was becoming highly dangerous, and debts were accumulating, and still there are a sizable amount of debt overhang in the CBOD area because of oil that has been supplied, and because of the cedi dollar exchange rate, the difficulty in which the CBOD members get their dollar and get adequate dollar to pay for their imports. It became a problem. So government can only act through policy and regulation. The only tool for any government to act is through policy changes. So we had to sit down and figure out what is the larger damage to the larger economy or to a few individuals. So admittedly, one or two people may have been hurt by gold for oil, but the country was saved. That is why...
So you do admit that?
There's no single policy that there would not be somebody that is hurt. And there's no single policy of any government that say 100% positive side. I'm saying, as a government, you have to balance and see that would you want to see queues in the country? Or do you want to see petroleum price hit 100 cedis per a liter or a gallon before you act? No. That is why in December 2022, the petroleum price was around 22 cedis. Like fast forward, October 2024, it hovers around 13 cedis. Any other product ever. That is why the chief government statistician said that if we could have a replica of gold for oil in other sectors of the economy, it's the single stabilizer of the city that he has ever seen. Why? Because, like I said, for the importer, if he has to get a cedi dollar on the black market or in the bank, he will go there to pay for his goods that he has brought in. You, the manager of your economy, should ensure that that process does not lead to the detriment of your economy, because or else you move yourself into a very vicious cycle. And there will be more fuel coming, there will be no dollar, and prices will be going at the pump. Not because they want to do that, but because they have to pay for the product that they've brought. Because if you look at the prices, I can tell you, for the first probably 5 years of this current government, first 5 years, prices hardly went up. Prices hardly went up. When the importers could get their dollar at reasonable rates, the prices were not moving every 2 weeks as much as possible, because they knew that they had to work, but they knew that the economy had to be able to afford. But it is when the dollar became a problem, availability of a dollar became a problem, when their importers, the IOCs, were not committing to the contracts they had signed, then CBOD itself led a discussion with MPA and the ministry. What do we need to do? I would say the first forex auctions, it was suggested through CBOD. And maybe you don't know, gold for oil, from day one, CBOD was around the table. It is nothing that we sprung. There is no magic. It's as simple as that. And let me just say this. Bank of Ghana then came up and said that one of the big telco companies wanted to transfer its dividends, a legitimate business. But they have accumulated their dividends in cedis. But when they are taking that cedi to somebody in Togo, it is no longer a cedi that the person in Togo needs. It needs safer. If you are transferring it to South Africa, you need the rand. And even if he doesn't believe in the rand, he'll get an international currency from you, which is the dollar. That mobile telecom company doesn't care a hoot where the dollar will come from or how do you get the dollar. It just wants to transfer its dividends legally out of the country, which you can't stop it. Right?
Right.
So when they got explained how we've done the gold for oil and how Bank of Ghana itself started a bigger one, gold for reserve policy. Said, okay, give us your cedi. And that's where gold for oil is going now. Give us your cedi. Allow the institutions that buy gold from Ghana. Buy gold. Give that gold to gold commodity players, just like IOCs. There are international companies that deal with gold. Get the gold to them. The value is determined internationally. And let them use that value that they will get to settle your dollar bill outside this country, to take the dollar issue out of the local economy. What wrong is it? In fact, we must be thinking, why is it that it has taken us too long to come here? The good Lord gave Ghana gold. The good Lord gave Ghana gold. He never gave Ghana cocoa. He gave Ghana gold and has given Ghana oil. It is up to us as citizens to apply knowledge in putting value and how that value is going to support our economy. So I'm looking forward to a day when those big importers, whether it's commodities, and it's all commodities anyway, rice, oil, sugar, petroleum products, they are all commodities. We can have, and we've started it and it's working, an understanding that if within your credit period you have given, why can't you sell it, bring the cedi enough, and let us buy the gold, which hitherto was not adding a cent to our national accounting books. Now, you can't take, if you're a small scale, the law says you can't.
Explain it. Sell that rice and bring the cedis.
Yes.
To who?
When you sell rice, how do you get?
Exporting?
No, when they sell
Locally. Locally you get the cedi.
Bring the cedi
to
Bank of Ghana or your bank.
Okay.
Very soon we'll get there. Let your bank use that cedi. That is not your concern. You want your dollar. Your bank will give you your dollar. But the bank will use your cedi to buy gold from local Ghanaian gold miners.
Okay, so I had this very ridiculous suggestion a couple of days ago.
Ridiculous?
It sounded ridiculous. That that the only reason Galamsey is thriving is because the Bank of Ghana is buying the gold from the Galamsey.
It's not true. Bank of Ghana is not buying gold. Please, when you are asking the question, don't listen to or take what somebody has vocalized somewhere.
No, and that's why I said it's ridiculous.
Yes,
it's
because
ridiculous,
we have small-scale miners. They are legitimate businesses. When the foreigners were making the profits alone to the detriment of Ghana, nobody complained. And get it straight, whether small-scale or large-scale mines, they all destroy the environment. One is asked to put in measures to reclaim the destruction. One, we can't find them. Those we can't find are probably what you call Galamsey. But those you can find, you can locate. you find that before you even go into any production in the mine, you are even asked to establish a bond so that when you finish, we use that bond to reclaim the destruction of the environment that you have done. EPA, former president of chief executive of EPA is here. You can't go anywhere in mine without putting on some form. In petroleum, they call it decommissioning fund and things like that. You're supposed to put a certain amount of money there. So when you finish your activity, at least you can bring back the environment to a near usable state that you find yourself, right? That is not currency. I'll tell you, between 2012 and 2016, 1,400 licenses were issued. Between 2017 and now, only 1,000 licenses. So it is not a matter of just repeating what somebody is saying, a bit correctly or incorrectly, a bit politically or partisanly, but to analyze the situation and see. I keep saying, whether you like it, the first so-called galamsey things happened in the 1800s. And you have to understand, when you use the word galamsey, it means unregulated, unlicensed mining. So you can have a large-scale so-called company coming in to get prospecting license. And if you don't monitor and follow, and the person starts doing mining activities, it's galamsey.
It turns to illegal. Yeah.
It's illegal. So get the terminology right, get the operation of that industry right. I don't believe for a second that everybody becomes a commentator on everything without knowledge. And it's sad. To this morning, I was reading a letter sent by somebody that I invited MPP. Of course, myself, I'm going to meet on an issue. And when I read the letter, tear nearly dropped. So how can such an educated person write such a letter with so much inaccuracies? And the accuracies are accuracies that are being said by somebody seeking political office. But when you are an independent, objective, active development partner, you don't necessarily repeat what a political opponent is saying. You repeat your problems that you are having that you want it to be addressed. And that's why I decided to come here today.
And we thank you for that. We thank you. I don't know if there are any follow-up questions to...
No, and the second bit of his question was cost.
Right.
After you've assured the importer that when he brings in the product, he will get his money. Then you have to work with the importer such that the gaps in the cost of acquisition of money do not become a burden itself. So CBOD came to us and said, okay, we will submit all our contracts that we have through MPA. And MPA will validate them and bring them to Bank of Ghana. The banks would also bring the demands that they are having. Because we also realize that because there are many, many CBOD members, right? One member may have 5 or 6 banks or 3 banks. And when he needs the dollar, he will go to all the banks, whether you like it or not. There have been a few instances when one member has gotten 3 or 4 allocations in the bank, more than what it needs to pay his LC. So there was a need to bring in efficiency into the system so that others who also have credits that, not equity here, others who also have credits that needs to be paid are not shortchanged. It's not equity. Because different people bring different things at different times. So it's not about equity, no. Thank you.
So, Duncan, you have your hand up, but just to follow up from the discussion of forex availability, the CBOD has said that the Bank of Ghana in recent times has reduced the volume of forex and that they auction to the BIDEX to just about $40 million a month, which only constitutes about 15% of the required forex for petroleum product imports monthly. What will your government do differently to ensure that forex supply for petroleum product imports are adequate?
Supply of dollar via Bank of Ghana to the forex market is not the only available line of dollar for an importer, CBOD. But Bank of Ghana looks at the totality of what is needed and the various supply lines that they have oversight over and decide to make allocation. because they don't have enough dollar in their kitty to meet everybody who needs their dollar at any time. It's a recurring problem. That's why we are restructuring the economy. That is why people have suffered with some decisions that have been made, which is acknowledgeable and understandable, but though very, very painful. So Bank of Ghana, if it knows that its window of forex, it needs, or its window of contracts available, it needs $100 million. It's out of that $100 million, nearly $60 million is going to be serviced through gold for oil, because they are the ones who are sending the gold and paying. And he knows that maybe $20 million can be served by the local banks. So he needs to put up only $20 million on the forex. It won't put 40. Because they're also looking at the times where the credits have to be honored. So it is something that is going to be every day. CBOD, through their structure that they have with Bank of Ghana and MPA, the Ministry of Energy, will have to address problems as they arise. It's not a one-stop shop game, right? You haven't answered the fact that when MPA relies on an individual member to bring in 1 million liters, contracts acknowledge and everything, and when it is due, the person doesn't bring the 1 million barrels, Ghana suffers. You have the alarmist statement that was made. Today is what? Today is Friday. Alarmist statement that was made on Monday by certainly an entity looking for political position. So that, oh, LPG is short, so LPG prices are going to go high. For MPA to come up 3 days later and say, when they look in their banks, LPG is not going to get short for the next 2-3 weeks. Because the panic that was going to be set in the system was to achieve a goal not because of reliability of supply. Right? So our utterances are, we want to protect Ghanaians in CBOD. Tell me. And they know me very well. At any time, I think we should not have even a single foreigner in small-scale mining in this country. Just as a Ghanaian. Because I have been searching for how many big countries that have mines do they have foreigners participating. And I'm finding it difficult to look at even almighty America. I'm even finding the most capitalist world in the country in the world, that there's a local mine, whether oil or something in America, that is serviced by foreigners. It's difficult. So we also have to, and that brings us to local content, that where local content has to get to Ghanaians, is getting to a stage government must provide more financial support for Ghanaians to take charge of our local economy.
Right. Duncan, you want to start? Please, the microphone to Duncan Amwa. He's with COPEC.
I think maybe after Duncan, I would run away. After Duncan.
The team here would want to.
I have knowledgeable people, so don't worry.
So we'll make it very snappy.
If you write your question 3 days before coming, it cannot be snappy.
Fortunately, this is not even written.
It's not written?
Yes.
And you are reading?
It's online. Your Future Excellency, of course, a long-standing friend of mine, on a particular date on Ghana Web, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, after a reported 2 billion loss from the Gold for Oil program, is on record to have said, the governor of Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the Gold for Oil policy was a crisis management policy. We came in at a time in 2022 when the currency was depreciating very sharp, and then prices at the pumps became unbearable. It's a fact. So as things normalize, the rationale for these interventions may not be as strong as they were when we were in the middle of the crisis. So this is why we may have to get out of that operation. That is the governor of Bank of Ghana, suggesting that, like I had indicated, some reported loss was reported to have been occasioned. Your Excellency, one of the most difficult things for us as industry watchers to accept for the lack of forex for CBOD and other IoTs is the rationale for the Bank of Ghana stopping the commercial banks from importing dollar. That has never made, I must say, any reasonable sense to some of us. You don't mint or produce the dollar. You have commercial banks that hitherto could bring in dollar. I mean, if the South African bank.
Duncan,
Your Excellency,
if you can, I'm not curtailing your question, but everybody hears you dialoguing with Bank of Ghana. I cannot speak for Bank of Ghana. I do not represent Bank of Ghana. And me and you contributed to making Bank of Ghana an independent authority on its own. They speak as they want, they do as they like. The government may decide to go in to make a policy amendment to their laws or something. I may appreciate your question. So if you ask your question, because I said I'm hard pressed with time.
I am minded also by the fact that probably by January you could be the head of the economic management team. So Bank of Ghana.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
But still the question.
So Bank of Ghana, whether you like or not, would have to sit with you. And one of the things that I'm pointing out, my friend and Your Excellency, is that that policy by Bank of Ghana would probably be one of the undoings of why we saw fuel at 22.
And I'll appreciate if we can together dialogue with Bank of Ghana, where Bank of Ghana is available with data so that we can make amendments. And between me and you, I think I'm the most privileged minister that you never harassed out of office. Because we are brothers. Yes. You came to office with all your viewpoints, and we solved. Some we could never solve, but that is life anyway.
I agree.
So
I agree with you totally. That maybe at another platform we may discuss. But then again,
that is a very interesting point you make.
Yes, gold for oil, and then the implementation for some of us, why we, on a good number of occasions, objected to it. You sit with the oil marketing companies. They have a deal to you. So there's a market distortion from the supplier who is now given to the OMC on credit lines for 90 days. And then that supplier now sees the same partner that I'm supplying to that I've given a credit line to pay me in 90 days. Now, forking out cash, not, I don't know which other word would have. Now
okay, on that forking out cash note, I will take the microphone from you.
Paying up cash for gold, for oil, cargo or consignment. When that happens, the IoT that is supplying on credit would now have an issue with whether they should continue supplying so that you sell their product to pay cash for what...
All right, Duncan, thank you. I think the question is well noted by the minister. Because he's hard-pressed for time, we're going to make it very snappy. I see Nana Mwesi wants to ask a question. So Nana will make it short, and then Mr. Kumi will also make it short, because I consider that you have major key stakeholders in the industry, and the minister would have to listen to you before he leaves.
Thank you very much, Pakwesi. And good morning or afternoon again once to Honorable Napo.
Good morning.
I think you mentioned 22 cedis per liter for fuel in 2022. Gold for Oil program started in March 2023, actualized. The first cargo got to the shores in late February 2023.
Please, your question, so that I don't run in the middle.
Good one. I want to bring some preamble. At the time Gold for Oil program was started in March 2023, the price of fuel in the market was around 13 cedis per liter for both diesel and petrol. At the time, and it's on record, again, the cedi was selling for about 12 cedis, 66 pesos to $1. International prices was hovering around $800 per metric ton for each of the products. Today, international price of diesel and petrol hangs around $600 per metric ton. Price of fuel on the market is a little over 14 cedis per liter. The dollar is now selling for close to 16 cedis. I want to ask the minister, Does he think that go for your
The
program?
running mate.
Hey, sorry. The running
I've
mate.
made that mistake a million times today.
Don't repeat again. I will never repeat again. Our running mate, I want to ask him, does he believe that Go For Your program has been able to reduce fuel price on the market?
Thank you, Nana. Gabriel, make it snappy for me.
Yes, this is a very snappy one because I know running busy. Entry, they say Ebenim Nira. I think he made mention of LPG.
He has appeared.
So it was a stray bullet to me. Yes, but I wasn't going to talk, but I need to talk because of the bullet that came.
It's not meant for you.
Okay.
Are you the one that issued the statement
Yes.
that LPG price is going to increase?
Yes.
Because there was a shortage of LPG?
No, that's not what we said.
okay.
It
That's what I said.
wasn't because of shortage of LPG.
Okay.
It was because the next window prices are going to go up.
Very alarming.
Mr. Running Mate, I think we are very much aware that for the past 1 month, Atuabo has not been running. We are not getting LPG from Atuabo. All the trucks means that there was a lot of pressure on the imports in Tema. Somewhere last week, about 10,000 metric tons came in. As we speak now, I don't know what the stock in the books are, but we speaking to the BDCs that deals in this product, fuel trade is not serving because they are run out of stock. Matrix gas is not serving, they've run out of stock. The only places that have LPG are Temoy Refinery, that as at this morning, from our checks, is having about 3,000 metric tons. We have Sage Petroleum having some stock, and Sage Petroleum and Blue Ocean are having about 4,000 as at yesterday when we checked. That will mean we have about 7,000 metric tons of LPG in the system as we speak. We don't know when Atuabo is going to work. Our next cargo is going to come in around 25th, 28th of this month. That will mean that cargo will be for next month. Between now and the end of the month, we have about 18 or 19 more days to go. Our daily consumption as a nation is 1,000 metric tons. So that will mean that if Atuabo don't come on stream, it will mean we need about 20,000 metric tons to take us to the end of the month. Our checks indicate that we have about 7,000 as of yesterday.
See, my brother,
Yes.
you've spoken for 10 minutes. You haven't asked your question.
Yes,
And that sounds alarmist too.
In fact,
Sounds real.
mine was more
I'm
or
getting
less.
confused.
Mine was
Whether
more or
I'll
less
explain a position on
a
the
clarification.
statement or I don't
Yeah,
know.
just a clarification of the statement.
I'm just saying that when you listen to yourself carefully, there are like lots of if. If our Atuabo stands producing today, all the genesis of the problem that you put out doesn't exist again. That's what you just said.
That's if.
And I'm saying that is what
You also said if.
No, I'm saying at that point in time T, you are not my brother. You are not my counterpart in another political party to generate fear and panic. You have, I'm telling you.
Mr. Minister, it's
if
not
you-
based on
I'm coming,
projections.
I'm coming. Why? You don't want me to answer? You said LPG prices are going to go up. That's the statement that came in the next window because there are shortages.
Based on his projections.
Based upon your projections, there are shortages. No.
We did not link the price increase.
So why was it going to go up?
Every 2 weeks, price either goes up or stays the same.
Or comes down? Or comes down? So why didn't you say in 2 weeks' time price will come down? So please, you have done nothing wrong. I'm just saying that you have done nothing wrong. You concede a point that in the next 2 weeks, price may come down, or price may go up, or price may stay the same, depending upon all the factors you put in. Being equal. And your major factor now for saying price will go up was the fact that our storage was 7,000. And we need 1,000 per day. You just explained 10 minutes.
And Atuabo is not producing.
And Atuabo is not functioning. That's the 3 ifs he gave. Sage has 4,000, Tor has 3,000, 7,000, Atuabo 0. Then the price will go up by the next window. based upon that, the price is going to go up by the next week.
Where the problem is, prices goes up every 2 weeks.
Or come down. So you can't.
But we have the figures to go. We have the international price has gone up.
Please. You've had your chance. Your chance is based upon if. Your chance, you said it. Everybody here heard you. That you checked as of today. The day that you checked, you brought that paper out. What was the storage in Tor? You've come up with your statement. 3-4 days. Reported it here. You said Tor today, this morning. When you made the statement,
I am saying
my brother,
today.
do you want me to explain or you want me to hear only what you say? I'm free for both.
Please explain, Mr. Running
I'm saying that his conjecture of price increases doesn't hold because he in one breath says the price can remain the same, can go down or go up depending upon certain factors. Those factors are what you have in storage, what is coming or what you need and what is coming. You have to balance, right? He says, he's the knowledgeable person here, I am not. He needs 1,000 a day. The statement came out on Monday. When the statement came out, he was telling us Tor had about 10,000, right? But he was still able on Monday to issue a statement that caused fear and panic. I am on the receiving end. As soon as I read the headline, I didn't go into it too. As soon as I read the headline, my first was to call people in MPA. What the hell is going on? Right? MPA came out with a statement. The deputy chief executive of MPA was there. Here, he would defend the statement. But all I'm trying to say is that in the market space, Ghanaians should expect a price increase in LPG based upon the fact that we don't have LPG in the country. And there's no LPG coming till 25th. And LPG international prices have gone up anyway. But whether it goes up or not, every 2 weeks, the window reprices. We've lived with the repricing at the window of 2 weeks for over 10 years in this country, for God's sake. It didn't start 2 weeks ago to dramatize the fact that petroleum products would increase. This is my brother Duncan. He will even forecast and make hell is coming. But he does it every time. The only time he doesn't talk is when he's going low. I talk. The other time. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that at all because we have lived with it from successive governments. So it is not the politics of it. I'm saying now, all his assumptions he used to come up with a statement has been disputed by MPA. As we speak, Atobo is working. As I speak this morning. Atobo is working. Gas is flowing. Because what he's saying is true. When our trouble was not working, even generation of electricity in the Middle Belt was curtailed because there was not enough gas. But our trouble has started working. And the only thing I was saying that in his position, he has MPA to dialogue with before he comes out. It's not a pricing issue. It's the community availability issue. Yes, availability. So that's why I'm saying that to the average person, LPG will be cost because they need to the average person. And that is why I said fear and panic. Because even me, as a former Minister of Energy, I was caught up. So I was calling Perry to find out that, is it because of CRM, LPG distributors issue that's why it's going to cause a shortage or what? So I don't have a problem. I'm just saying that if you are here and you heard that message and it didn't send fear, then I doubt whether you even read it, saw the message. But if you did it and you depend upon gas to do your work, commercial or not, you might rush to go and buy more gas in the next filling station that you have.
Thanks for the clarification. Did you mind talking on the CRM thing that you just mentioned?
Talk about
the
what?
CRM issue, cylinder recirculation model, the challenges that they are having with the implementation, the fact that there's fear that local people could lose or be priced out of their business?
It is not true that any local business will be priced out of business. And I'm not talking as a politician. I'm talking as a policymaker at that time, that CRM never started with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and I hope people will take policies out of this once and for all. I've had energy NGO CSOs coming to my office and blasting me for not sticking up to CRM. It started under President Mahama. It is a good policy. In the neighborhood, most of the countries are doing it. In fact, Ghana probably in the West African neighborhood is probably the only country left who is not doing CRM. So I stand to be corrected. But yes, like I said, there's no single policy that you do without some people getting hurt. And so MPA has worked with government, my ministry, and industry players. They probably have a meeting every month or every other month on this thing, on even the rollout of CRM. And the policy has been tweaked. Who is going to buy the cylinder? Who is going to own the cylinder? What are the prices? What are the taxes? And everything, they've been calibrating it. And the decision now for implementation is that the two are going to continue pari passu. LPG, bottlers, yes, concurrently. So what is the issue? You cannot say CRM should stop. Because government policy supports CRM. We won't say lose out of the market because of the LPG bottling market. But you say there should be no competition. We should stop competition in this country. Where competition is the chief statement, all the industry boards, chamber boards come and tell us we should allow competition. Even in this issue of Forex, what is CBOD saying? CBOD is saying that we should allow, they didn't say we should stop go for oil. In all these things, CBOD is saying we should allow more private sector players to also benefit. That is their statement. Ask, check. He said, as we are doing it now, it is not agreeing well for competition. So we should allow them to come. And I'm saying that if I'm allowed, I can show CBOD that as of now, the policy has been tweaked to allow private sector participants to also participate. MIF, BODs or BIDEX, they call it now, to bring in products where MIF is going to give the gold. Pure private sector business. Pure private sector business. So policy is the only tool available to a government to change. And if you do the policy conundrum, you realize that you might start something and realize and do a gap analysis and realize that, this, if I tweak it this way, it makes it better. If I tweak it this way, if I change the whole policy in a certain direction, it's better. But government's ultimate responsibility is to ensure what my brother said, availability of fuel at the post. When Ghana was enjoying fuel, even at the peak of COVID, even some European countries, they were accused. You have to acknowledge the work that some government entities have done. When there were blackouts in even some parts of the world which are seen to be advanced. Ghana, we never had that. So let us not be promoters and chief vocalists for gloom, because Ghana is the price falling from 22 cities to 13 in March. All now here is that international price. All now here. But what CBOD should understand is that we still have another critical player who has come, who is also consuming the same dollar, who is supposed to be producing around 30 to 40% of our market requirements, which is another private sector player.